The U.S. and South Korea are taking part in a joint military exercise that North Korea calls a massive provocation that could put the world at the brink of nuclear war.
If war comes, make no mistake, the North Korean regime will be utterly destroyed.
Blessed are the eyes that see what you see. For I tell you, many kings and prophets have desired to see what you see, and have not seen it, to hear what you hear, and have not heard it. I thank you, Father, for hiding these things from the learned and the wise, and revealing them to the innocent and the simple.
Right now, U.S. stealth fighters as well as long-range B-1 bombers are flying over South Korea in a joint military drill dubbed Vigilant Ace. North Korea described the exercise as a grave provocation, claiming in its state-run media Monday that the drill could escalate the situation to the brink of nuclear war. The training comes less than a week after Pyongyang carried out a successful test of its newest intercontinental ballistic missile. The weapon traveled farther than any other North Korean missile to date.
If it were fired at a normal angle, it would be capable of flying over 8,000 miles. That means it can reach Washington, D.C.
And on Friday, signs emerged that another test could be underway soon with the construction of a new launch pad. It's a big step forward for the North Korean military, which has pressed on with its missile and nuclear programs despite the Trump administration's attempts to isolate the North diplomatically and economically.
Ahead of the joint war games, National Security Advisor Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster warned that Pyongyang's continued aggression was inching the region closer to war. On Capitol Hill, Senator Lindsey Graham believes the United States is running out of time when it comes to stopping North Korea's nuclear ambition.
The policy of the Trump administration is to deny North Korea the capability to hit America with a nuclear-tipped missile, not to contain it. Denial means preemptive war as a last resort. That preemption is becoming more likely as their technology matures.
The eerie wail of air raid sirens sounded across Hawaii on Friday, the first test of its civil defense warning system since the 1980s. Officials say they would give Hawaii's 1.5 million residents just 13 minutes to take shelter.
The basic guidance, again, if you hear this, is get inside, and stay tuned.
It's a direct response to the growing threat of war with North Korea. Pyongyang's nuclear weapons and ballistic missile program is developing rapidly, undeterred by months of threats, bluster, and personal insults from U.S. President Donald Trump.
They will be met with fire, fury, and frankly power, the likes of which this world has never seen before.
Getting out of here right now, guys.
Thousands of Californians have left their homes overnight as flames raced into their backyard.
I'm not going to wait around for somebody to have to come rescue me, so I'm out of here.
Others weren't as eager to leave.
Sheriff's Department.
It's our home, you know, we'll see it go. You can't panic, you just kind of go with the flow. It's just the wind, you just don't know where it's going to go.
Winds moving at more than 50 miles per hour are driving the flames west, making conditions more difficult for first responders.
With winds like this, fire growth is just absolutely exponential.
Ventura County Fire Chief Mark Lorenzen says more than 500 firefighters are on the ground, desperately working to gain the upper hand.
As far as getting ahead of the fire, that's exactly what we're doing right now, but it's in defense of structures and property right now, not actually trying to put the fire out.
You can see those flames out there. Power just went off.
Flames torched a key transmission line, knocking out power for more than 260,000 customers.
The only thing we're seeing right there are streets. All the homes in this area, power is out.
Ventura County Sheriff Jeff Dean.
There's a main power line source that runs along this ridge, and that's what the fire is burning down. Areas that aren't really necessarily affected directly by the fire are being affected by sporadic power outages as the fire burns down the power lines.
Over my shoulder, where you see those flames burning right now, that's where a 200-unit apartment building once stood. It is now gone. Firefighters are trying to save whatever structure they can in this fast-moving fire, but right now, the flames are at 0% containment.
Just before 5 p.m., a rare 4.1 magnitude earthquake hit near Dover, Delaware. The impact felt from New York City to Baltimore.
The house was shaking, and I had no idea what it was. And I thought maybe it was a close-flying plane. I had no idea, but our house was shaking.
It was the strongest earthquake to strike the East Coast since 2011, when a 5.8 quake hit 90 miles southwest of D.C., shaking the nation's capital so strongly it cracked the Washington Monument.
This is a large earthquake for the East Coast. It's one of the largest in the last decade, and is felt from New York to Washington, D.C.
Well, an earthquake measuring 6.1 on the Richter scale has shaken parts of Iran's southeastern province of Kerman. The epicenter of the quake was Govark village near the town of Hojetk. The tremor was felt in most northern and western areas of Kerman province, sending people to streets in panic. The quake happened on early Friday morning and was followed by dozens of aftershocks. It has damaged a number of old buildings, with local officials saying dozens were injured. The tremor came after a major quake left more than 500 people dead and caused widespread destruction in Iran's western Kermanshah province 2 weeks ago.
In southern Thailand, entire communities are partially submerged by floodwater. In recent weeks, heavier than usual monsoon rain swept across this narrow stretch of land, separating the Gulf of Thailand from the Andaman Sea. Some people have left for evacuation centres, but most prefer to stay and cope as best they can with the difficult conditions. People come together on the nearest dry land to receive aid handed out by the government or local groups, but they say they need more.
The flood this year is worse than last year, and it's very difficult. We need assistance from the government because our livestock is stranded and needs food, and the whole village is underwater.
In the province of Songkhla, all 16 districts have been declared disaster zones.
A destructive cyclone tore through India and Sri Lanka and is making a destructive path through India. Cyclone Oki originated near Sri Lanka, moving through coastal areas of Tamil Nadu and Kerala state on November 30th. The storm then moved toward the Lakshadweep Islands in the Arabian Sea, where residents were ordered to evacuate low-lying areas. With winds up to 130 kilometers an hour, the cyclone ripped trees out of the ground and brought down power lines. The Economic Times reports 7 deaths in Sri Lanka, and India's NDTV reports 13 in Kerala and Tamil Nadu, where schools in coastal areas have been closed. Meanwhile, Indian military vessels conducted search and rescue operations in coastal areas, with the Press Trust of India, or PTI, reporting 150 fishermen rescued. However, PTI also reports some relatives of missing fishermen staged protests over delays in rescue efforts.
The airport on the island of Bali has reopened 2 days after Mount Agun's eruption forced it to close down. With several flight routes now resumed, the reopening brings hope to about 120,000 stranded tourists who are hoping to return home. More than 4,000 visitors have already flown out of the Indonesian holiday island. However, authorities have kept the alert level at a maximum. Some experts say the mountain's recent activity may lead to an eruption. Local officials have warned of the dangers of volcanic ash and have urged the local residents to evacuate the area.
In Syria, a bomb attack on a passenger bus has killed 8 people and injured dozens in the western city of Homs. It happened in the Ekrima district of the government-held city, a neighborhood which has been targeted several times by car bombs and explosive devices in the past.
Mosquito nets and anti-malarial medicine are 2 of the biggest weapons in the fight against malaria. The mosquito-borne disease is a ferocious foe. Despite global eradication efforts, around 450,000 people died last year. The World Health Organization, or WHO, says the number of infections increased by 1 million compared to 2015.
It did catch us off guard, although we have noticed an increase for the last 3 years. We thought that the increasing use of insecticide-treated nets, as well as the increased use of tests for malaria, would cause a decline.
The highest number of malaria deaths was in Nigeria, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and India.